In this lesson, we're going to start creating the functionality for adding and removing, or adding and unfollowing a friend. So right now we just have this button that doesn't really do anything. We just have a placeholder function, but let's start writing the code so that we can write this on the database and write some tests in the next one. So the first thing we're going to do is create a function that allows us to check if a user has an existing relationship with another user, because we're going to use that in many places. So again, applying the dry principle. So we want to do that on the models of the relationship. So here we're going to say async def. And so this from user ID is going to be a string as well as the to user ID. And then just like we had on the user models, we're going to check if type checking. So here we're doing a query that has the relationship table select, and we're going to return the result from that query. Oh, it's saying that it's returning an optional record, which makes sense. So I'm going to say optional, because this might not return a record if it doesn't find a relationship. And we need to import this from, I like to put type checking after the main ones, and I think they should work. So the next thing we're going to do is on the existing user view, we have a check of existing relationship that we want to now leverage this new function. So I'm going to say import this on the from relationship models, and then on the where we use this, it's on the, I believe, profile. Yeah, profile username. Right, all this in here. We want to say if await. We need to await if await existing relationship, and we're gonna pass the connection session dot get user ID and the user row dot ID. And I think we use not user row, we use profile user here. Session. I see. It's saying that it's expecting a string, but this is an optional key because we're doing session get. So I think we need to pass it as the array like this. And then profile user, it says record has no attribute ID, which I think is a typing issue. So I'm going to say type ignore. That worked. So let's go ahead and test this and see if it works. So I'm going to run the application and see if I get any errors. If I reload here, I don't get any errors. So looks like it's working fine. If I see my own profile, I see edit profile. So far so good. Of course, we cannot really test if this is working until we have relationships. So let's go ahead and start working on adding the relationship between friends. Okay, so mainly we're going to be working on relationship views. So let's load that up. Right now we have a very simple file here. So we're going to practically replace this friend with some new stuff. So the first thing we're going to do here is we need this to have a login required decorator, because if you're not logged in, you're not able to follow other users. So we need to add that from user decorators. Okay, and so this add a friend username is a string. That's good so far. Here we're gonna have we're gonna probably use union because this can return a response or a string for the flash message. So let's go ahead and say union str and then response. And so we're gonna do the old from type checking in here. And so we're gonna import from typing union and type checking. Okay, so far so good. So we need to get the current connection. We don't have current app in here, so we need to import. We're gonna use something to redirect the user to wherever he was coming from. So we're gonna use this request refer. And again, request is not imported yet. We're also gonna get the logged user ID stored from the session. So this is adding a friend. So you're logged in, you're trying to get a friend. Also believe we need to import session. And so we want to check first if the user exists. That's the first thing. Because we want to make sure that the two or the one that you're trying to follow exists. So we're gonna call this to user row, and then we're gonna do get user by username, connection username. That's exactly right. And so we need to import this. And so we're gonna say if not user row, then we're gonna say abort 404, because at this point it's kind of, somebody's just passing some weird string into the add friend function. So now we're gonna check relationship exists. So that's exactly right. Check if the relationship exists. So we're gonna say if not await existing relationship. This is actually pretty good. So the logged user ID is the from user ID. So I want to make sure that, I guess this is interesting. It's saying to user row and then brackets ID, where I'm using, normally I'm doing this, but I think this returns an error. The type checking. Let's import this from relationship models. I like to put my own application import in here, and we'll send relationship table. And so if that doesn't exist, then we're gonna do a statement where we insert the from user ID is the logged user ID, and to user ID is the to user row ID. And then we're gonna await the connection execute from the query. And finally, we're gonna use flash messages so that we can communicate on the profile view of that user that the user was added as a friend. This is pretty good. I'd say followed username. And then we're gonna redirect back to the calling URL. So we say return redirect refer. That's exactly right. And redirect is not imported also, so we're gonna add that from Quart. So this is pretty much how to add the relationship. So we're gonna test that out. I think we have one issue here. What is this? We have an extra parenthesis here. All right, looks good. And then optional any expected string logged user ID. Yeah, we're getting into the same thing here where it's optionals. So we're gonna say session user ID, and let's try the to user row of ID here. See if that worked. I'm curious about that usage that Copilot is recommending. Still have one. Where is the error here? Oh, there's no dot. Flash. Oh, Flash is not imported. Okay, we're good to go. Let's try it out and see if it works. We're gonna run the application. So I'm here on the user Luigi. I'm logged in as Jorge Escobar. So if I add a friend, I can see that the connection is being set. It's getting the logged user ID, which is 4. That's the user Jorge Escobar. To user row, that should be the user Luigi. So it checks if there's no user row, which was false because it did get something. And so now it's checking if there's an existing relationship, and there's none. So we're going to insert that row on the table. And we can see the query if we print the string of the query, although we're not going to get the values, but we can see the values here, which is to user row username Luigi. So I think that's going to work. And then the flash sign here followed username. So if we return redirect to refer, we'll see that it will send me back to the same page. And if we see now on the Luigi page, you'll see that we have our flash message here, follow Luigi, and we have now unfollow. So that means that everything is working well. Perfect. So now let's do the unfollow. This would be, I think it would be easy to do just like one function and then just have something like relationship / action so that we don't repeat the code as much. But for the sake of this is what I have already written, I'm gonna just do it like that, where we have like two functions instead of one. But I'll leave it up to you for kind of like an assignment to refactor this to be just one function with relationship / action / username, and then based on that action, not repeat all the code because it's very repetitive, as you can see. But like I said, we're gonna just copy and paste this, and we're gonna say remove friend. We're gonna rename this as well, the function, and then we're gonna say it's a little bit different here. We have to check if the relationship exists, because if it exists already, then we can do the delete. Otherwise, just return back to the refer, so we don't do anything. But if they're following each other, then we can say unfollowed username, and then instead of insert, we would do delete. And then it would be delete dot where, and here's where it changes a little bit. We're gonna say relationship table from user ID equals logged user ID. That's right. I think Copilot has the right idea. And relationship table to user ID equals to user row ID. That's right. So this is the unfollow code, and I think that would be it. We have an error. Where do we have an error here? Or are we missing? We're missing a parenthesis here. Okay, that would be it. And so let's try this again, rerunning. Oh, we haven't added the unfollow code. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's on the profile template. And we're gonna say, instead of this ahref with the pound sign, we're gonna say relationship remove friend, and save that. Okay, and we need to restart the server when we do changes on the templates. I stopped it, but just in case you don't do just like the restart here, you have to do stop and then start, so that the template change is reflected. So we're gonna reload, and then we're gonna say unfollow, and there you go, unfollowed, add, followed, unfollowed. So this is working correctly.